So when it comes to those, maybe you don't need to memorize every single one of them that we just talked about. But, pick a couple that you like. Pick 2 or 3 that you like. Go with that. Okay? Go with that. That's not a hint. I don't know really what the hell is. The last thing we have here, hopefully we'll get this done today. Here are the key nutritional concepts. There are 6 of them. Again, there are 6 of them. I'm not going to ask you to list all 6 and discuss all 6 of the key nutritional concepts. I'd ask for maybe 2 or 3. So just like we had before, pick 2 or 3 that you like. Okay. Sometimes I ask them as an essay. Sometimes one gets picked as an essay and one gets picked as a series of multiple choice questions. Okay. So there you go. So these are my 6 nutritional concepts. Okay. Nutrition is a dynamic science. Bad nutrition includes eating too much and eating too little. Foods and the nutrients are one of the many components. Okay. What the hell does that mean? Get to it. Food is the best source of nutrients. No duh. What about supplements? What about protein powder? What about that protein bar? Now you're like, oh, okay. So all food's not the same. Variety is the spice of life, and foods are a mixture of nutrients. That's why you want variety in your life. Well, in terms of food. Concept, move on. Most foods are a mixture of nutrients. Foods, usually 98% of the time, all have a nutritional value. Okay. Some of those nutritional values are much more better choices than others. Can a donut provide nutrition? Yes, it can. Very, 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 very limited. So is it the most ideal choice? No, it's not. Am I saying give up your donut? No, I did not say that. Am I saying give up the donut every day? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Am I saying don't eat all 12 donuts that come in the box? Yes, that is what I'm saying. Okay. To that end, foods can be either nutrient dense or energy dense. Be nutrient dense or energy dense. What's the difference between them? Well, a nutrient dense food has a ton of nutrients and not much energy. Calories. Energy dense foods have a lot of energy, a lot of calories, and not many nutrients in it. What are nutrient dense foods? Fruits and vegetables. Damn, you're like, damn. So I gotta start eating. Yes, you gotta start eating. Okay. Fruits and vegetables are nutrient dense. You can eat a whole buttload of them. Technical term. You can eat a whole buttload of them. And they provide a huge amount of nutrients and not many calories to them. Energy dense foods, these are the ones that you want to keep at a minimum. These are the foods that taste so fantastically well, like a donut. Here's an example. I doubt I'll ask this on the exam. Okay. But here we have a donut, 4-inch diameter. That's pretty damn small. If you've ever bought a donut at Hy-Vee, good Lord, it's the size of your head. 400 kilocalories, 100 grams. That's energy dense. Strawberries, 32 kilocalories in 100 grams. To get the same equality, 100 strawberries equals 1 donut. Can you eat 100 strawberries? No, you cannot. My son can. He can eat the entire house if we let him. He would eat 100 strawberries. He'd probably feel like total crap. But he would do it to prove a point. But that's what it takes to get the same amount of energy, same amount of calories. So it's not all the same. Okay. The only thing that is energy dense and nutrient dense at the same time are nuts. Nuts are hugely energy dense. But that's why, a serving size is like an ounce. It's like 20 to 25, depending on the size of the almond. 22 almonds, let's just say. Let's split the middle. 22 almonds, that's a serving size. That's it. Okay, because they rich in fats. Fats provide a lot of energy. Okay, they're also rich in nutrients as well. Concept one still, empty calories. These are the things that you want to get less of. Empty calories, unhealthy solid fats, added sugars, alcohols. Again, all the things that, we love to eat, candy, snacks, alcohol, sweetened drinks, okay? These are generally not good sources. So these would be energy rich, providing empty calories that don't do anything for us, and providing negligible to any nutrients. The second concept involves variety. Variety is important for a number of things. One, it ensures that you get the proper amount of nutrients that you need in your diet. And that's what it's all about. Because if you eat only one type of food all the time, it can be limiting in nutrition. It can be limiting in certain nutrients. And so if that's you and you don't deviate from that, you're going to be lacking in something. Now, I will say this. For people who are very regimented, like myself, or I eat this, I have a diet plan and I follow that pretty much every single day of the week. This is what I eat at breakfast. This is what I eat for my second meal. This is what I eat for my third meal. This is what I eat for my fourth meal. This is what I eat for my fifth meal. There's not a hell of a lot of variety with that. But when I lack in variety, I have still the requisite amount of nutrition. I pair my meat source with vegetables and a specific carb a lot of times. So whatever nutrient is not necessarily found in chicken or fish, turkey, or sometimes even ground beef, then I do know that I'm getting that within my vegetable choice and my carb choice. So even though there's not a lot of variety per se, I still am getting all of my nutrients because I do have, a serving and a half of vegetable with every single meal. Okay, for the most part, except for breakfast. I don't necessarily do it with that. Well, sometimes I have spinach in my eggs. Okay, so it just kind of depends. But that's why you want to create that good, healthy eating pattern. So you do that if you don't have a lot of variety. But you want to eat variety. You want to eat foods with various different colors. They're rich in certain phytochemicals or certain vitamins and minerals. So variety is fantastic. Moderation. You want to eat a reasonable amount. What's a reasonable amount? A reasonable amount that gives you the requisite amount of calories per day. Balance. You don't want anything empty. You don't want any nutrient dense stuff. You could have maybe one, maybe. I choose not to have any of that, if at all, in my diet. Now, will I have a cheat meal on the weekend? You betcha. Okay. And I'll have some of those empty calories. I'll have a random beer. I know, shocking. Okay, so I will have that occasionally. So you want to ensure that you have variety, moderation, and proper balance to have the requisite amount of nutrients possible. To that end, we've come up with this thing called My Plate, and we'll dive into this a little bit more in the next, I think I can't remember, chapter 2 or chapter 3. We'll dive into this concept a little bit more. Chapter 3, I think is what it is for us right now. So we'll get into this and what creates variety and balance. It's this little picture right here. Okay. And again, we'll look at it more in chapter 3. Here's an example of it. Here's an example of that concept. Okay. If you drink, we have a sugar sweetened drink over here, sugar. Okay. And we have a fat-free milk serving here. If this is all you drink all the time, you can see by not having variety, holy smokes, 149 micrograms compared to none. 0.4 milligrams, 0.45 milligrams to none. A buttload of phosphorus, buttload of calcium, good amount of protein. But what does it provide a lot of? Energy. This is why it's important to not consume a lot of these sugary sweetened soft drinks because it provides next to nothing except for energy, which means calories, which means pounds around the midsection. Concept 3 is food is the best source for nutrients. Food, whole food, and when I mean eat whole foods, you don't go to Whole Foods, okay? That occasionally that's fine, but it's expensive, okay? Eat real food, that's what that means, okay? Foods that are minimally processed, they're your best source for nutrients. They're reliable. They're economical in most cases. And they also contain, all those fantastic phytochemicals when you choose plants. If you're going to rely more on supplements, that's pricey, okay? They can have an uber super dose, if you will, of certain vitamins and minerals. And your body's not going to be able to utilize all those, especially if they're water soluble. They'll just go out in the urine. It's a waste, okay? What's a supplement? Right there. That's the definition of a supplement. The FDA doesn't regulate them. It's anything that contains a vitamin, a mineral, an herb, a plant product, an amino acid, dietary substance, anything. So basically anything that's added to it, okay? There's a Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 that allows manufacturers to classify nutrient supplements as herbal products and herbal products as foods. So they do count as food, but they're not as strictly regulated because of this loophole. Scientific research indicates that some dietary supplements can have beneficial effects on health. We'll talk about some of those later. Many of them do not provide anything. They can be actually harmful in a lot of situations. So supplements and phytochemicals, they may not have the same health benefits when you isolate them. A lot of these things, it's in relationship to everything else that's in that food that causes the benefit. The phytochemical aspect is just one little tiny part of it. So moral of the story, choose whole foods over supplements. Do I love supplements? You bet. I do. I take a few. Sure. I take protein powder. I do a few supplements. Okay. But I do those because of exercise, because of a greater demand. It's not that I'm sitting around doing nothing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to take a multivitamin a day. If you're not sitting around doing anything and you're eating food, okay, you're pretty much getting what you need. Once you start doing above and beyond, exercising more, okay, now you may need to supplement because you may need some of those extra vitamins, extra minerals, extra protein, depending upon what you're doing. And that's where we get into this. We have a nice little safe area, okay? It's referred to as the physiological dose. Anything above and below that can be detrimental. Could be malnutrient is the word I was trying to throw out there. Okay, but there's a safe amount. Once you get above and below, that's where issues come into. Okay, this can even be for water as well. You can consume way too much water. Okay, it can be unhealthy for you. Right. So everything has a physiological dose. More is not always better, especially when it comes to magnesium. If you take more than the physiological dose of magnesium, it gives you diarrhea, and that's no fun. Most foods do not contain toxic levels of vitamins and minerals. In fact, most of the toxicity diseases that we have or conditions that we have are usually due to supplements, megadoses. A lot of these vitamins and minerals didn't necessarily have a toxicity disease associated with it until supplements start showing up. And we get that mega dose where we do 10 times more than the recommended safe amount. Okay. So there's a lot of crazy things out here. And some mega doses can be done under medical doctor supervision. Okay. But not every single one of them. Concept 4, foods and the nutrients that they contain are not cure-alls. The nutrients are not the cure-alls. Phytochemicals do not cure you of cancers. The omega-3 or within this nutrient, within this food, is not a cure-all. Diet is only one aspect. What you eat, all of it, what's it look like? You don't just eat fiber. You have carbohydrates, whole grains that have fiber in them, and minerals and vitamins. So exercise is part of that as well, right? So the hard thing to get across is, they're not cure-alls. That one little nutrient is not the holy trinity to cause you to be living a very healthy, safe life. Okay? It's the totality of everything that you do. If you got special needs, if you have some kind of special medical condition that requires a specialized diet, for you to maybe get rid of almost entirely a specific nutrient and do more of another, okay, that's not normal. Under normal circumstances, that's not the case. We talk about bad health as being a malnutrient type of situation. We usually think of undernutrition. And yes, that is true, but malnutrition can also be overnutrition as well, where we consume way too much of something. Why would we do that? Because, we saw on TikTok or I saw on Instagram, this person pimping this thing and they do it and they look sexy as hell. And that's how I want to look. Well, okay, but what else are they doing? A lot of times those things that they're pimping aren't worth a damn and don't do what they're supposed to do. Or the science behind them is not there at all to support what they are suggesting you can do with this project. Okay. So it can be it can be overnutrition. Both can be bad, which is what malnutrition is. The last concept we have is nutrition is a dynamic science. It's not exact. There are so many variables that exist out there in the human body. It's hard to isolate all those variables to truly see how this nutrient interacts with this person, this person, this person. Okay. So when we talk about nutrition not being exact science, that's what we mean. Okay. Researchers continue to explore this relationship between diet, health, exercise, health, and what that all means. Okay. Every scientific study that comes out, we read it. These are the holes within it potentially. Okay, what can I do to better this study? What were some of the variables that they didn't account for? Okay, well, thinking about it now, they should have. Okay, now let's control that variable. And now let's take this and move it in the positive direction. That way we can truly figure out. But people are like Molotov cocktails, man. Okay. Everything that I put in my body is not the same thing that my wife does, and not the same thing that you do, person next door, my kids. So everybody is a little bit different, and trying to control all of those conditions, try to control all those variables, that's what makes nutrition science difficult, dynamic, all in the same regard. Being able to read these studies, to understand these studies, understand the positives and negatives of those studies, allows us to truly understand if that study is a good scientific study. Hopefully in chapter 2, that's what we can start to look at and figure out if what we truly have is a good scientific study.